And guys, we are live at Radio DemocracyRadioNetwork.com, and we're going to show you how patriotic we can be. Yay, Mike! And guys, I hope you kind of enjoyed that. I've always found it a little disconcerting when only Republicans consider themselves to be the true patriots, and that none of the rest of us had a right to, carry the flag. You see it every day. You see you know, the misuse of the American flag by the right every day. But anyway, we just thought we'd start off a little. Mike McCready from Pearl Jam playing in the. He was in Seattle doing this. I think it's maybe some autism night at the stadium, and I thought we'd start off with a little patriotic music other than Jimi Hendrix. I mean, I love Hendrix as much as the next guy, but he didn't do the only super cool version. So there you have it, Mike McCready, Star Spangled Banner. That's Mike McCready from Pearl Jam. So, guys, like I said, it's Thursday, April 23rd, 2026, and we're coming at you live and in color from our secret, undisclosed location on Newport Harbor, Newport Beach, California. And what I want to start out by saying is, number one, I want to tell you why we're here. And I started this to help Democrats get elected. And my basic opening philosophy is any Democrat is welcome anytime. I'll accommodate you. I'll go to the ends of the earth to accommodate you. This is a really big deal. This midterm election, and if you're even anywhere within the sound of my voice, you appreciate what's going on in from the city council level on up to governor. Just as funny, I got my official California. Let's see if we can do this here. My official primary election guide, and as I was kind of thumbing through it, and I think there were like 30 something pages of for governor, that would be gubernatorial candidates. But yeah, they had like 30 pages of those guys, and I think the whole thing was maybe 60. So the moral of the story is, if you, always try to be the top banana, I guess. There were like 30 candidates for lieutenant governor, maybe, 40 for governor. And if, way back when, you or I could just go put our name on the ballot and pay like a $10 filing fee, and, we'd get on the ballot. Of course, we get like, one vote that, you or I would cast. But you used to be able to get, and you used to be able to get on the presidential ballot for a couple $100. I think it's like 225 or 250, and you can have your name, until again that kind of loophole was closed. But just food for thought. And the exact reason I bring up the my California voter primary voter guide is that it's important to understand what's really at stake here. And democracies, there, I think there's what, like 75 or so worldwide, and a lot of those are kind of questionable. But the central notions behind democracy, the notion of, get this, having a vote and maybe having a chance at having a decent future. It's not like in a kingdom where the king kind of tells you and your family what you're going to do, and you'll probably do that for the next eons until you know until the Norman invasion, which we're kind of partial to. That was 1066 A.D. when William and Mary of Orange defeated the English King Harold at the Battle of Hastings, a landmark in democracy, because that in the Magna Carta that King John signed in like 1215, that was the first time you had an expression of, for instance, having a jury being tried by your fellow man or woman, whatever. And I mean, this was just stunningly revolutionary. That in some ideal philosophical Greek camp, I'm sure they debated all this. But anyway, we have the right to choose who leads us. Now, unfortunately, some of us, make the decisions based on uninformed assessments of the candidate's position. I try to be so nice to you guys. Uh, so the opposition has just gotten so brazen that I mean, I'm sure you see it every day. You and I may struggle. Like I say, my $100 fill-up is now $125. My $400 gas bill is now $500, and I'm obviously not alone. So, guys, give us a call at 949-629-3820. We'd love to hear what's going on in your world. If you don't let us know, I can't begin to help address it. But if you give me some idea, we'll work really hard to get the proper Democrats' attention and get this thing done. Um, I know we're all starting to feel, the basic campaign vibe coming into play, but these next few months are just going to be crucial. As far as governor of California, and this is true of just about any position, people generally are fairly qualified for the position. And it comes down to just who wants it more, who will ask the voters for their vote, one more time than the other. We just need to squeak by on this one. But anyway, politics and the rule of law and getting it ready to govern yourself. And you know what the alternative is to having the ability to make a life decision? Of course, the polar opposite is not having a say in your own future. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't that kind of like slavery? And so this is the quantum leap, and that's why the setting the blacks free in the whole Civil War, or as they used to call it in the South, they might still do the Battle of Northern Aggression. The truth of the matter is, everybody kind of knew it was wrong and bad and all that. But, and this doesn't tell me this doesn't sound familiar, but there was lots of money being made. So, for various reasons, and I'm going to give you a really cold political assessment. If you think that the United States had the right to secede from England, shouldn't the South have the right to secede from the Union? I frankly think it's, I don't think I don't think states ought to, come and go, so to speak. With the consistency we have is good enough now. It's not perfect. But like my mother we used to say, well, she would either say, cry me a river, Oh, no, 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 it wasn't, sorry. It was Cry Me a River, pal. She always wanted to make sure you got that little added bit of sarcasm in there. Bless your mom. And, so yeah, I as the, city council race starts to, focus down, there are 2 local city council candidates that I've personally met and enjoyed speaking with them and have come to the conclusion, and it's pretty, self-evident, as that these 2 people are highly, highly, highly qualified. They care. They want to do a good job. And the important thing is they want to do the good job for you. They don't want to do a good job, unlike some other politicians who kind of measure things by, oh, I don't know, Trump guitars, Trump watches, Trump, phones. I don't know what all the guy does. Frankly, I don't know how he has time to be president. Geez, can you imagine? If he's not juggling, I don't know, 20 different business ventures, he's not juggling one. And the funny thing about that, the only person that makes out is Trump. You and I wind up paying for this. One of the congressional committees asked the secretary, one of the secretaries, how much the war will cost. It was a Russ Vought guy from OMB, Office of Management and Budget, and he wouldn't tell them. Can you imagine? And let's go back to the Constitution for just a second. It's Article 1, Article 2, Article 3. And it's been historically true that the most important points are usually made first. And that's why Congress is considered somewhat superior among 3 co-equal branches, is because Congress is Article 1. The executive is Article 2, and then you got Article 3 for the president. Our founders, believe me, cannot begin to imagine a drafting a document that would guide a nation for 250 years without a whole lot of changes. We've tried really hard to conform to that. But the Constitution was based on, it was in a different time, and signed documents had value as opposed to unsigned documents or no documents at all. And it's funny, I ran into an election denier, and he was telling me that, didn't I really think that 2020 election was, he couldn't believe that it was not rigged. And I'm like, you guys had 60 times to prove it and all that. And I said, tell you what, I'll give you a chance. I'll be open-minded about this. If you have evidence that you can to support your conclusion that the election was rigged, I'm more than happy to take a look. But if you can't prove it, I think that's an old expression. And I do this because I really try not to be terribly vulgar on the air, but that's just bull skating. And, bull skating don't float anymore, pal. So, I just called him strike me dead, a delusional dumbass. But when people do not believe the objective reality, there aren't a whole lot of answers. I used to joke about if you can accept, the facts as it is, you must be stupid, retarded, or criminally insane. And I would suggest that none of those 3 are really good choices. So anyway, just how I handled an election denier. God only knows. I mean, after a while, it is a self-perpetuating. After all, lies are self-perpetuating, especially when you have people perpetuating them. It's just wrong. And I always cite the New York Times as an example of world class, great journalism, great reporters around the world. I mean, the New York Times deserves to be the official paper of the United States. And I mean, can you imagine way back when, before the Magna Carta, before the Battle of Hastings, and as a matter of fact, probably continued after that for a long time. My dates can be a little fuzzy, but way back when, if some enterprising soul had a bookstore or a newsprint shop, and don't forget Gutenberg made this possible that more than one person could read the news at a time. Oh, excuse me. So anyway, the king, and there's the rule of law, and then there's the rule of the king, and the king had this thing called prior restraint, and prior restraint refers to the fact that whoever was publishing an article about the king had to get it approved, and that's why if it was prior before the article went out, the king would make you not say it. So that's the prior part, and that's the restraint part. And I bring that up, particularly contrasting with the New York Times. Can you imagine having to ask permission from, I don't know, a certain, orangutan resembling imbecile that's AI, absent intelligence, and just so happens to be in the process of taking over 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, which I had always thought belonged to kind of like the people in the States. But that's the big picture of what we're up against. And it doesn't, while leadership or lack of leadership and the chaos that results, obviously trickles down, it's really important to keep your eye on the local races. Who's running for your city council, your mayor, your assessor? How about the registrar, secretary of state? I mean, we can't, or the truth of the matter is, nobody can neglect these voters anymore. There's, and I tell you, as a kind of an economic fact, I think maybe 30 or 40 years ago, the middle class made up 63% of America, and that was on a single paycheck. You fast forward till today, and the middle class has shrunk 21 points, down to 44%. And that takes two incomes to be middle class. And people have been squeezed for a long time. We've all known this. The tough decision to raise your child, for instance, versus the need to keep food, clothing, and shelter coming. Things have been a little. Like I said, they've been tenuous for a while. I've always felt, and that's one reason I had opposed a whole lot of healthcare reform. Is that I had always thought the system was so tenuous, like the Jenga game. If you pull out the wrong piece of wood, the whole deal collapses. And if history is any indication, it looks like that's where we are now. Like the various Jenga pieces are being pulled out by a certain orangutan resembling absent intelligence, subhuman being. So as long as you can see where I'm going with this, right? The Jenga, ultimately, something, there's usually three possibilities: good, bad, or nothing. So, and with our, I don't know what you would call it besides global exploits, the orangutan, absent intelligence, subhuman being would say that's it's not a problem, and we don't have no idea how much he is spending, but we have a pretty good idea that there's just corruption on a scale nobody has seen. Oh yeah, that's what like he always talks about things that the world has never seen before. Well, we've never seen this sort of corruption in an American president before. And then, we see the profits being generated off the presidency, and then we see us with, you know, people we know losing their health coverage. They can't afford the premiums. Or if they can't afford the premiums, is anybody near them? How far do they have to go? Uh, and you've got to admit, when Trump wants something, money is no object. I mean, he'll spend whatever it is because it's not his money. Trust me, guys, he's going to leave us on the hook, for way more than the $2 trillion that he left behind, debt that he left behind on his one just sad, ugly bill. I'll have to come up with an anachronism for that. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about California and what part you're in. Give us a call, 949-629-3820. We'd love to hear what's going on. If you're up in the Redwoods, the Humboldt, we kind of like Humboldt, or if you're in the Central Valley, and how about the Bay Area? And you've got to admit, Marin is awfully nice, and Mill Valley, Sausalito, Tiburon, the whole deal. And don't forget, it's really close to Sonoma. So we like to hear from somebody in the Bay Areas, as however you define it. We would love to hear what's going on around Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara may be up to Big Sur. And if any of you haven't done that drive yet, you got to do it. And I've driven the California coastline up and down a few times. And what I usually do is, if I, depending on how much time I have, if I have enough time, I'll get on Coast Highway after LA, just because to pass beach towns from Newport Beach to Santa Monica to, what is it, near Ventura and Goleta before you get on the 101 is a real exercise in patience, and I'd rather not do that. So anyway, if you're up in Humboldt, let us know what's going on. A big old shout out to Kevin Jodry at what is it? Dream Nursery. I forgot. But hey, Kevin Jodry and Steve Hardy, all good guys from up that way. And Nicono, we hope you're still kettlebelling or kettleballing. Those things are pretty heavy, and and you were down here a while back for the U.S. championships, and yeah, that's a big deal. So anyway, big shout out to you guys. And how about like Central County? Anybody near Laguna Seca? Anything going on there today? Did you go to the Pebble Beach car show? And it's really funny. I cannot imagine the collective wealth in that one spot on that one weekend. And I've always thought that if a terrorist really wanted to take us out in the worst way possible, the first city they would go to would be like Palo Alto, Silicon Valley. Take that out and see how we work. I tell you what else works pretty. What else works pretty well is my official democracyradionetwork.com sticker on my semi-official coffee mug. So give us a shout out, send us an email. We'd love to get one in the mail to you. And let's see, how about, I don't really want to ask too much about Los Angeles, just, their local politics are world into their own. But San Diego, Cardiff, Encinitas. Let's hear from North County, San Diego. If you're and I say we are a home for Democrats, liberals, and progressive thinkers. And the reason we are is that we want to make progress. We want to change the world. in whatever way we can for the better. You would have to get the impression that he who is absent intelligence is leading us down the road to ruin intentionally. And deep down, I kind of believe that. It would hard be this self destructive by accident. I mean, the Secretary of War, Pretty Boy Pistol Pete Kaseth, fired the Secretary of the Navy in the middle of, and if you don't want to call it a war, call it a conflict, whatever you want to call it. Just you could just don't forget that's it was U.S. aggression in just naked, just naked aggression, and nobody wants or wanted Iran to have a nuke, but as things stand now, we're a couple $100 billion in debt for the war, and it's likely not going to get any better. I mean, who wins in this deal? Whoever holds it by force? Well, I mean, that gets expensive after a while. So we're just hemorrhaging these sorts of things, and combined with just the complete disregard for economic policy as evaluated by like Nobel winning economists. Oh, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, these guys actually won. you know uh Anyway, I just thought I'd get it off my chest really quickly. So moving back along, let's while we would love to hear what's going on with you locally, let's hit a little Financial Times news from today. And there were actually three major headlines today, and that was that uh, Trump's different on chip reversal has put the biggest chip maker on hold. So again, he lies. We're not getting these chip makers on U.S. soil. It takes years to spool up for these things. And every time he says he's got like $18 billion worth of commitments, uh, I think that's like having 18,000 pounds worth of bull skate. If you nudge really quick, you know what I mean? You just bull skating. And how about Iran seizing and firing on a couple of tankers? One of them sank. Now, what do you say about now? What do we do like now? And guess what? There is no, there's no plan. I have no idea. And it's funny. He really, because you have the inability to take advice from others, and you also have the inability to objectively evaluate competing proposals. Because of that, you'll always go to the one you like. And that's no way to run a government. We all know this. And when you do, when you go to people and steer things to them, I think that might be like, oh, I don't know, what's that word? Corruption. So, and it's funny. Washington is a really insular place. I mean, if you're there for any length of time, you do get television just because the place is awesome. And I don't necessarily mean that in a good way, but you have such a collection of power and culture, and I mean, if you've never been to any of the Smithsonian institutions, if you can get a chance, I mean, they're just spectacular. So, and it does make you feel proud to be an American, and uh, you know. But anyway, once people kind of get acclimated to DC, home is kind of far away, and and it's often out of sight, out of mind. If you at home can't see it, then it must be okay for me to do it. Uh, it would I don't think we need this to any major degree, uh, and certainly not to any official degree. But it would be nice to have some sort of, and I guess they have these in churches and synagogues, but some sort of moral authority, just to kind of interpret what any given passage means. And while we're talking about this, it's kind of a fallacy to call the Jewish Bible the Old Testament and to call the Christian Bible the New Testament, because once you label something as the Old Testament, uh, you create the implication that there just might be a subsequent volume called the New Testament. And in this case, they're like completely unrelated. So I think it's a better practice to kind of eliminate that linkage. Think about it, whatever you guys think is fine, but I think that it's properly referred to as the Jewish Bible and the Christian Bible. And if that stuff drives Republicans crazy, you know, they just don't appreciate the implications of what they're doing. The new, they don't do nuance particularly well. Uh, but and they, of course, it's intentional. But the local city council candidates in Costa Mesa, California, I talked about Dr. Kelly Brown and Kara Stewart ad infinitum, and I'll probably keep doing it because they're the more qualified candidate in their races. They have superior backgrounds. I mean, Dr. Brown gets every part of everything just by virtue of doing financial things for her university, which is the University of California at Irvine. And I tell you, while we're kind of just getting my thoughts together, I want to give the guys at ECI a shout out. Particularly Kevin Stockdale. I'm uh, trying to get a brief chat with Kevin. We want to see about following up on some thoughts we had for democracyradionetwork.com. Well, there's some old commercial than that. Whatever it was. .com. Anyway, commercials. So city council, and what about things like the state board of equalization? Uh, like I say, a lot of times they'll be fairly equal, but we're not here just because there's two sides to the coin. Doesn't mean that necessarily mean that it's in the bag and the other one is right. So let's vote early. Mail if so. If not, if you're a ballot person, go to the polls. Oh, go to the polls and call us. Make sure you call us when you're if there's a line. I would think you're allowed to do that with it. As long as you're outside. I can see not appreciating that kind of thing in the voting booth. Well, we'd like to hear what's going on with you on that primary election day. California, took in the shorts with Eric Swalwell, and I don't. Again, I think most of us are pretty much middle of the road. If you do something wrong, you get punished. If you do it right, then you're just. If you live right and haven't broken and have lived by the law, then by definition you're a good citizen. And I kind of bring that up because I always thought I was like a good citizen. And like I said, I started the broadcast with little Mike McCready and Star Spangled Banner. So like I said, I've always been a pretty much Democratic. I've always favored Democrats. Their innate messaging is or can be nuanced, which is something Republicans don't even bother with. I don't think they understand nuance. But then again, it's not like Trump leaves a lot of room for nuance. Like I said, the guy's just insane how he got enough votes after January 6th I can't imagine. Why not like enough? Who signed up for more? I don't know. Uh, so anyway, let's see what else the Financial Times had to say today. Oh, how about this? Brussels rethinks its opposition to Arctic drilling because of the problem in the Middle East. Brussels is synonymous with the European Union, the EU, and those guys were green when it wasn't fashionable. They knew there was climate change going on, and they were determined to do what they could about it. As opposed to America, where it's just another made up hoax. And I don't think that's what the Pacific Islander said when the glaciers started to melt and her island got submerged. I think it's pretty real, and I can only cite that as one example of. When you start denying climate, in particular, you wind up creating doubts about the validity of science as a whole, and and that's very destructive. And that apparently is what Trump majored in, just destruction. Oh, maybe destruction, greed, and I don't know. Have a little criminal behavior thrown in, a little rapist action. Why not? Whether he raped some woman or not, a girl or not, you can't, God only knows. I don't know. I wouldn't say he did, but you certainly wouldn't be surprised if it came out that Donald had been, enjoying the fruits of his labor a little too much. No matter how much money you have, underage sex is just not a good idea, and I say it's illegal. And you know, if the 2-year age difference between 16 and 18 bothers you, then I don't know what to say. But at least try to not force someone. And this is try saying, but you don't want to force anybody to prostitute themselves. Uh, you know, and don't forget at that point you have condemned the other person to a living situation, not unlike slavery. And that's apparently the distinction between slavery and white slavery. White slavery, I guess, usually refers to a woman being forced to be a sex object for money. Uh, yeah, I just think that's clearly wrong. Voluntarily, I don't care, but involuntary means against your will. And if your will doesn't get heard, then you are a slave. And nobody wants to be that. I don't think. Uh, let's. The old third gives out about 3 o'clock, so we gotta do what we can to keep all lubricated. And the next time I did this, or I should say, the next time my third is really scratchy, I know it's gonna be scratchy. I'll go to my local Starbucks at Fashion Island. Thanks, guys. A big shout out to Prez and Alea and Ruby and Lucy and Abby and Madeline and the Prez. Can't forget the Prez. There's a woman there named Kennedy. So I'm not calling you Kennedy. I'm calling you the Prez. So anyway, big shout out to you guys. Whew. Let's but again, elected Democrats, send them to my show. We want your voice. We want your voice heard, and your Democratic official candidates' voices heard. Oh, we exist to help you. Whether you do an interview with us and just so happen to get a few clips or sound bites out of it, or whether you want to replay the whole thing minute by minute, or if you just want to hear me talk about you, that's we're more than happy to help in any way we can. I'm absolutely convinced, and you guys hear this daily, that this is an all hands on deck drill, and trust me, it's funny. I've never been on an all hands on deck drill. I've gotten caught in some really bad weather, but never all hands on deck. And years ago, my sailing buddies, Bill James and Teddy Turner, son of Ted Turner, were putting together a challenge for what was then known as the Whitbread Around the World race, and they had an all hands on deck drill off the coast of Ireland or something. They had an 80-foot old racing boat that was still pretty fast and pretty well built, but the fact of the matter is Mother Nature rarely loses. So they had an all hands on deck drill, and I turned down the opportunity to sail with them. But anyway, all hands on deck means everybody better be ready. The situation's bad. So when I say this is all hands on deck, please believe me, and vote, vote, vote. Let's elect Democrats up and down the ballot. Anyway, we'll quit the rallying cry, but before we quit the rallying cry, how about giving us a call at 949-629-3820? This is Abby Kaufman, your somewhat semi-politically savvy guest host. And I guess host, I'm not the guest host, I am the host. But then again, I'm probably the everything, but oh, what a funny thing. Okay, let's get back to, and I tell you what, let's jump for just a second into some of the races that I consider really important and that I think deserve to be focused on. And I'm not going to go to board of equalization statements or anything like that. But let's say let's start with the Secretary of State. We won't do the governor and lieutenant governor because those guys always get top billing because they're in the top race, and you can't deny them for that. At least I don't think so. But my point is that just below the governor and lieutenant governor races, you have things like the Secretary of State's office. I mean, who do you want running the office where your records are? Does one party have a habit of abusing situations like that? I mean, I think we clearly do. And even though you may not think much about the Secretary of State as a position or as a particularly interesting race, the truth of the matter is it's infection. And on let's see, on the Democratic side we have Shirley Weber, and let's see, we have four candidates for Secretary of State. Two are Green Party candidates, and then you've got a Democrat and a Republican. Guys, even if all things were equal between the Democrat and the two Green candidates, go Green. I mean, vote Democrat. All things being equal, break the tie that way. Whatever you do, and remember, our guys get all the benefits of the doubt, and their guys get absolutely none. Just the way Republican hypocrisy can be applied, I guess would be the best way to put it. And next we have the controller race, and I say, who really knows much about all that? But when you have a choice between the peace and freedom candidate or the Democratic candidate or a Republican candidate, I think that the peace and freedom candidate should drop out. I know they won't. This is, a huge attention grabbing deal. I see there's 30 people, and who is she more likely to take votes from? That's right, our side. So let's hope Megan does the right thing, because her candidacy is not helping anybody. If it was helping people, I might be a little more inclined to help, but it's not helping. So we need it for it to go. And let's see. Oh, how about the candidates for treasurer? I mean, the excitement just keeps building, and how many we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candidates for treasurer. Now, again, if I was, all things being equal, you would have to vote for the Democrat. I mean, even though you may be, let's assume for the sake of argument that you are getting a candidate who may not measure up in every way to a more mainstream Republican type of candidate, and regardless, Democrats, I'm here to elect Democrats, and that's all I want to do. So just trying to keep that in mind when you go out to the polls, and or even if you vote early like most of us do. But anyway, let's get back to the treasurer's race. There's Eleni Kounalakis, the Democratic candidate, Glenn Turner, the Green candidate, which is really appropriate. If there's ever a position made for a Green candidate, it would be like money and treasury. Just thought I'd pass that along. And then, actually, Tony Vasquez is in it. He's interesting. He's the third Democrat for the office. And at this point, you've probably narrowed down between Eleni and Vasquez. And, whatever we do, let's give them enough of a margin that there's no doubt about this. And, again, the truth of the matter is, it's time to make a statement. We're just tired of the bull skating. We could, we're tired. We're tired of the lying, cheating. We're tired of the chaos. We're tired of the corruption. And we're just tired of being lied to. I mean, the orange resembling orange orangutan resembling person absent intelligence in the White House is the guy only knows how to destroy. So anyway, I'll leave that alone for right now. But let's I said even right down to the treasurer, you gotta vote Democrat and do it, and let's make a statement. Let's make a statement. We don't know if we'll ever be able to get rid of you guys completely, the cancer that you are, but we're going to radiate the 11 daylights out of this election, and we're going to turn out such numbers there'll be no doubt. So anyway, while among the things we're turning out for, how about turning out for DemocracyRadioNetwork.com and give us a call at 949-629-3820. We'd be really curious to hear what's going on. Like I say, we like to we're working on an affiliate up in Humboldt in the Redwoods, and down towards the Bay Area, Palo Alto. Stanford's always a really good choice. Berkeley is also really interesting. Everybody thinks it's got a reputation as a hippie school and all this, but don't forget they were originally an engineering school. So funny how things get kind of tossed around. And let's see what else is going on, guys. Nice old Thursday, the April 23rd, 2026. And we kind of want to hear what's going on in your world. Have your habits changed? Do you not eat at X or eat more at Y, or are you or how are you enjoying those mayonnaise sandwiches, huh? I mean, that's you know, if the orange orangutan who is absent intelligence, uh, you know, he just doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about me. I'm not even sure he cares about his wife and kids, but if he cares about anybody, you would have to hope that it would be those two. Wouldn't you hate to have everybody like self-preservation, every man for themselves? So, you know, it's just another little excursion, as he who's not intelligence would say. So let's see here, and let's see about Russia. What? Oh, this is great. Russia halts Kazakhstan exports to Berlin. So at least this is happening when the weather's getting warmer. But Europe was so intertwined that it was really a bad idea for England to lead the EU. And it was a ludicrous idea to think we could do what we want to do in Iran without any EU blowback or effects. And the mere fact that he who was out intelligence dictated that, that just the problem just keeps getting compounded, and it always comes back to him, and that's because the fish rots from the head down. That's kind of a gross message as I think about a little shrimp taco for lunchtime. But we owe it to you guys to keep you as informed as I can. I expect our affiliates are in the Bay Area and the Central Valley and Humboldt to really give you hyper local politics at its finest. You will see some really nice creativity from our younger generation. And what we try to do is within broad parameters, we try to give them their own channel, their own state, not their own channel within the station, within the network, and have an hour of call-in shows and an hour of politics, hyper local. We want to know what's going on in your local race. These are important. I mean, these really are the talk about the backbone of democracy. This really is. So, get together, stay home, do whatever, mail it in. I don't care. Just vote and vote blue, vote Democrat. If you can, consider us, a $5 or $10, $20 contribution to your local Democratic council member. Matter of fact, I'd really like to start advocating that. The smaller the political subunit is, the harder it is to raise money because there are fewer, potential donors around. So just as a personal favor, and if you'd consider, like say, 5, 10, no more than $20. I don't, there are limits, right? But trust me, it's a better thing to do. But if you don't trust me and want to give me your version, give us a call at 949-629-3820. I am your host, Abby Kaufman, and this is, in a stunning fit of originality, this is the Abby Kaufman Show, coming to you live and in color on Thursday, April 23rd, 2026. And we are coming to you from our or maybe it's just my secret, top secret. No, it's not really underground. My secret location in Newport Beach, and I'll narrow it down and give you a huge hint. It's on the harbor. And the good news is that if you are right, you get to buy me a beer. How's that? Do you not want to wake the kids in front of the neighbors for that kind of a deal? So yeah, don't waste this golden opportunity. And another thing about trying to fundraise on a city council level. Uh, I'm not saying that it's wholly self-funded, but I hope there's some consideration given to candidates in those situations. And if you want to tell us about your situation, give me a call, 949-629-3820. And we'd be really curious to hear what you have to say. And, oh, by the way, your buddy Normie, Abby messed up. He bought a cable with one end is wrong. So that doesn't help matters. So I need to jam on back after my voice gives out. I wish I could hang with guarantee a 4-hour show every day, but the truth of the matter is my voice just kind of goes after 2 or 3 hours, and I would rather have you have a super high quality short show than a longer show that is not quite as good. Sorry about that. Now, let's see. We are. Oh, how about this? How about the Attorney General? Again, that's pretty important, right? So we have Marjorie McHale's the Green candidate. We have Michael E. Gates, the Republican candidate. And why don't we have a Democratic candidate? Is there a misprint somewhere? Well, I don't know, but keep an eye on those old AGs, Attorney Generals. It's a pretty powerful deal. I mean, if they choose to come after you, it's not good either. And if this isn't, the most exciting race I've talked about yet, it's the race for insurance commissioner. Now, you talk about somebody that can have a little power and a little influence. And what if he disapproves a rate increase? What if he approves a rate increase? Which way does it work for him? See, Trump's kind of giving us the corruption model, and you can see how it's taking hold. But enough's enough. I'm trying to turn the page here, and I have no idea why I can't do it. Maybe that helps. Okay. Insurance. Now, why we exactly need a peace and freedom candidate. I appreciate that as a concept. I just think that it may not be the best idea. But anyway, for insurance commissioner, Stephen Craig Bradford is the Democratic candidate. And what are we going to do? We're going to support him every way we can, just like we do every Democrat. And now this gets pretty wild. Oh, this is the State Board of Equalization. Now, I always thought that when governments used words that, you could argue about, that you had to wonder. Have you ever wondered where who is the most popular candidate in the U.S. or most popular most popular person? Huh? Somebody? Anybody? Well, I'm afraid you are wrong, Goose Breath. What is it? Huh? God only knows what it is. But I think I just kind of think that the Democrat is going to be the more reliable, more steady, sometimes not very obvious choice, but they are now. So, and we're counting on you guys. God, we're counting on you. I'm also counting on you to give us a call, 949-629-3820. And now let me dig out my old, what's it called? Come on, guys. How about my old Zoiper? I swear that sounds like such a painful condition. Yeah, it feels like something somebody might want to cut off. And yeah, me and my Zoiper kind of, we've been together a long time. And I just assumed it'd stay that way. Uh, but, I ask for so much these days. I want to show you guys my official sticker here. It's from the democracyradionetwork.com, and it says in no uncertain terms, silence is compliance. Speak louder. And speak loudly and give us a call, 949 629 3820. And let's start working on this stuff. It's anyway, I'm not gonna preach anymore for a few minutes. Oh, but how about sorry about that. The race for the State Board of Equalization. And in California, the State Board of Equalization is like the taxation branch, kind of. Yeah, they just they're not concerned with federal sales tax, but they are really concerned with state and local. And the Democratic candidate is Donald E. Williamson, and apparently he's from Highland, California. So, and you don't. There's a lot of endorsements. So, as a matter of fact, this guy just did like a resume instead of taking a candidate's position and using that paragraph to explain who he is and what he does and why you should vote for him. And even though he didn't answer the question, vote for him. He's a Democrat. There's a famous saying, I think it was Voltaire maybe, the enemy of good is better. So while you might want an extra 10 or 20%, it might cost you 50% if you don't. So sometimes you just, I don't really mean it like that, but sometimes you just gotta bend over until you get in the shorts. I would be really upset if somebody, was being happy about hearing me getting it taken in the shorts, but oh, trust me, time, was it karma comes around, goes around. So one can only hope. And so, Tim, did you guys like McCready? Mike McCready uh, doing the Star Spangled Banner? Was it a little too Hendrix like, or do you think they just kind of pulled the mold after that, so nobody could do it anymore? Yeah, you gotta wonder. And let's see here. And you know what? I kept telling Dave Min, who's our local congressman, and who's another just gem of a candidate. Uh, Dave knows. Dave's got some DC experience. He practiced law. He gets this. So let's be sure and turn out for him too. But why don't we take just a short break to catch our breath and give you a chance to to pee. So let's take have a little shins action with Goodbye Girl. Sorry about that, guys. A little YouTube ad played through. I think these guys are from New Mexico. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. To a hotel room on the second floor. My mom was on the door. I didn't know you. Sunlight on the lino. She's gone. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. It doesn't bother me. On the lino. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. And just like that, and Zipper. I thought we were back, but YouTube tried to sneak another nail in my heart by squeezing on us, and we didn't have time for that. We'll come back to it, but if you get a chance, you might appreciate the Squeeze in their first or second album. I'm a little partial to the second one, Cool for Cats, but check out Squeeze. They were good enough to play for us here now. So let's support them the best way we can. Okay. And now we're just off at that State Board of Equalization. And Nelson Esparza is one of the Democrats running. And then we have in District 2, John Pimento and Sally J. Lieber are the registered Democrats in this race. Uh, I think the next district would be District 3, for the Board of Equalization. I would like to know what those guys equalize. They never seem particularly fair, but again, what do I know? And how about Yvonne Yu? She is a Democratic candidate for Board of Equalization from District 3. Mike Gibson, not Gibson, but Gip, Gipson, is on the Democratic slate for the Board of Equalization. Shouldn't that be something like musical? Some kind of equalization where things sound the same? Okay, let's see. We don't really want to give any airtime to the Republicans because we don't have to. How about that? District 3, we went to Yvonne Yu and Mike Gibson already. So let's, okay, how about District 4? Now, I'm just speculating that to have 4 or 5 strong candidates for the Board of Equalization might just mean somebody tipped somebody off and got the answers. I'm not, just speculating that on the theory that nobody makes 100 and nobody makes a zero. How about Cody Peterson, I guess, the Democratic candidate from District 4. Uh, and we also have Martin Arias and Tom Umberg on the Democrat side for the Board of Equalization District 4. If I'm not mistaken, Tom Umberg is the way to go on this one. We'll get back to you just in case we need to modify a position, but that's my best recollection. Uh, now you're talking anxious. This race is for the Superintendent of Public Instruction, a nonpartisan office. And I can appreciate just running as nonpartisan kind of things, but the truth of the matter is, it's different now, and we didn't make it this way. We're just responding. Any guilt is like guilt by association because we didn't, we took the guy at his word. But anyway, after all that, we had for the superintendent of public instruction, Richard Barrera. I don't. I guess when it says nonpartisan, that would be why they don't mention which way they tend to vote. Yeah, which is all kind of good. As long as you have the mental ability to manage what's going on, do it, keep your independence, and it's really important to keep others independent too. And along those lines, the strong have an obligation to protect the weak. It's basic part of our social contract. When people need the government, they're there with services, uh, which worked well for about 240 something years until he who is AI, absolute intelligence, chooses to speak to us. So anyway, guys, what would you kind of like to hear? Anything much? How about if we took a little break and how about if we just keep going with another nail in my heart? Another nail in my heart, and the piano man's found another nail in my heart. God, go ahead and tell what you play, Kenny. Another nail in my heart. The piano man's found another nail in my heart. Down the bar, the piano man's found another nail in my heart. And the piano man's found another nail in my heart. Piano man's found another nail in my heart. How about that, guys? Little squeeze, another nail in my heart. Very young Jules Holland there. And and while we're talking about young, 18-year-olds have had the right to vote since what, 1972? And why? And and let's face it, and let's be honest, we've done a horrible thing to those guys. We're gonna leave them paying for the stuff we bought, you know, that we bought on credit, so they can get shafted with, our what, 39 trillion, $40 trillion deficit these days. So, uh, you, and you guys are the perfect ones to take over. I don't know if you know this or not, but over in I think it's Nepal, they have a surge of young people winning office, and of course that's step one is winning office. Step two is what you do in there. But again, there's certain first steps that need to be taken, and you start with politics. Starts at home. It starts with your local district council, your local city council member for your district or precinct or however they designate those things. And at that point, when you're represented by somebody who lives in the community and has a stake in their reputation, a stake in the outcome of their election, they will, they're the ones, right? So, please, God, vote Democrat. Give a few bucks here and there. Uh, I'm hoping to God that it won't be a terrible strain for you to do this. Like I said, I know sometimes sometimes just down to zero and there ain't much you can do about it. But if you're doing okay, please consider contribution to your local council member at that level. When you live in the community like that, you can't run and hide. And if you thought they were going to run and hide, you wouldn't vote for them in the first place. So is that not textbook accountability when a citizen chats with one of the representatives about a matter of concern? I mean, that right there, isn't that beautiful? A voter talking to their representative about a problem. I mean, doesn't it just boggle the imagination? Can you imagine what would happen if you tried to set something like that up now? Well, actually, that's what the old orange subhuman being that just so happens to have conned enough people to to get his way back into the Oval Office. And while we're broaching that subject, give us a call at 949-629-3820. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Uh, but so we can kind of dispense with the California primary for now, but you can only imagine how much attention the general election is going to get in 2026. God, it's I'm not going to say it's a nail biter or anything. It does seem as though there's not a whole lot of things that the Republicans can do right. But in the meantime, we're all paying the price for their incompetency. No, nobody before these guys would have the hubris to think that they are okay and they what's largely naval warfare, firing the Secretary of the Navy. I mean, doesn't that just speak volumes right there? And I would hope January 6th speaks volumes. And like I said, give him everything else. Isn't that one thing enough? I mean, how can anybody take his side after that? I'd love to know. I did run into one person who thought it was staged. Like you're another delusional dumbass. Uh, and the woman's husband got a little upset, but kind of thing happens in the world of sports. You don't really want to offend anybody, but it just so happens that your answer to their question is misconstrued. How about that? Yes, it's funny how the uneducated misconstrue things. Um, you know, and like I said, these days everything counts. So it counts where you grew up, it counts where you go to school, it counts what kind of car you have or bike you ride. If you're not a biker, what's my brother call them? There's a new name for bikers because they don't like being called bikers because they feel that's like a Hell's Angel kind of thing, being a biker, as opposed to being like a motorcycle enthusiast or a motorcycle rider. So, anyways, world's fascinating about how people tend to, what will set somebody off, and sometimes it can be really insignificant, but somebody gets pissed about it. And let's get back to the old international news. I saw I've already kind of exhausted the topic of local politics, at least to some degree. So Russia halts Kazakhstan exports to Berlin. Oh, how about this? Doesn't this make it just fill you with optimism? Beirut, Lebanon, is caught between Washington, Israel, and Hezbollah on negotiations. Uh, ordinarily that sounds like a pretty bad position to be in. Um, and I used to be politically insensitive, and whenever I would meet somebody from Lebanon, and there's a substantial Lebanese community in Newport Beach in California. I think Dick Dale, Richard Mansour, also known as Dick Dale. I think he was Lebanese, and that's why Miserlou sounds like it does. But I digress. I'm going to digress and just sip a little warm coffee from my throat. And guys, I appreciate your indulging me by letting me broadcast and get off the air round 3 or instead of 4. The truth of the matter is I'm a new talk show host, as if you couldn't tell. And my throat's just not used to working this hard on my vocal cords or whatever it is. But I have a solution. What? You have a solution? Well, yes, I do, and I kind of thought you'd never ask. What I am thinking about doing, and this is strictly for medicinal purposes only. I would take my official DemocracyRadioNetwork.com mug to Starbucks or whatever coffee place. But those guys have just been good to me, so I patronize them. So anyway, I thought that if I took my mug in there and had it completely empty, that I could ask for a smaller size coffee in that same cup with whipped cream. And I think when I get back to the table, I'll add my mini bottle of Irish or 2 of Irish whiskey, and I think I'll enjoy a nice magic elixir that's guaranteed to heal my throat and make me feel better. So I just thought I'd kind of share the Irish whiskey in the coffee at Starbucks. It's I mean, sometimes it just really hits the spot. I said shouldn't enjoy this kind of thing so much, but I share if nothing else. Uh, this is the last thing I'll bother you with from the Financial Times. Is apparently Trump was trying to get some deal done to have a chip maker move back to the U.S. or move to the U.S. And or inevitably, Trump changes his mind so that it's not a good deal to move back anymore. And, consistency in being and consistency in decision making is a sign of good mental health, which suggests the opposite, that poor decision making is just innate. And when you've got an entity offering you advice and you refuse it, I would think that's kind of like ignoring the facts. And if I'm right, and I'm not a great etymologist or what do you call it, word origins, oh, guys, it's just a sad state of affairs. But anyway, so remember how Trump talks about, he's got this, $1 kajillion investment coming. It's like nothing the world has ever seen before. Well, I think this kind of proves just the opposite. And, again, that's the value of the Times. They can take a minority position and have it be the right one. You can never be too old to start making good decisions. I thought I wish I'd, stumbled across a little earlier in life, but be that as it may. Now, how about the Virginia redistricting map or case? Of course, the Democrats passed the measure until the state court got involved and put it on hold. The truth of the matter is, Democrats just were determined to fight an equal fight, to fight a fair fight. To come out straightforward like Governor Spanberger did. And, address the fact that 20, 30,000 people in Northern Virginia are unemployed because of Doge. That's a little hard to sell to the folks back home, especially at the same time their health care is taken away and they have less food stamp availability. And, I understand, I've heard the argument so many times that that's not what I pay taxes for, or my favorite is I don't pay taxes, so illegal immigrants or, whatever. I don't do that because I wish there was more medical aid available or something. And it's just, you and I just line entries to, to financial entities. Nothing more, nothing less. We are as much as that little accounting thing knows about us. How scary is that? And who was it, the Chat GPT guy? Somebody that said, AI is going to kill us all. Well, maybe yeah, maybe no. I'd like to think we're somewhat thinking of the problem, but since Silicon Valley made that hard right turn with Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, that they're giving a certain intellectual stamp of okay to what would normally be just pathetic behavior, and I don't think we're necessarily into behavior like that. And we'd like to do a quick experiment, and we're going to let's see. Hang on here just a minute. We'll try that experiment in a few minutes. I had bought a cord to plug my guitar into my interface, but of course I bought the wrong cord. I needed the male part, and because it goes into the interface. But I'm pretty much a geek with stuff like that, so of course I got the wrong one. We'll have to go return it a little bit, but it's hardly a pain. These days there's inconveniences and problems, and I like think I've got a pretty good handle on distinguishing the two. And there's a woman, I've got to figure out how to block her. You know how there'll be one person, whether male or female, doesn't matter, that will take up a certain cause and just write about it, research it every day. I guess that's how conspiracy theorists kind of uh, evolve. Because I don't think they really progress. I just think they probably don't even evolve. They're probably just going to develop into another version of what they are. Uh, so the big chip making deal is like down the tubes, like everything he who is out without intelligence says. So, and it's funny. I would bet my bottom dollar that either one of the two women running for city council, Dr. Kelly Brown and Kara Stewart, I would bet you my last dollar that they would do a better job as president than the current president. The reason being, they want to help. They want to do good. And, it's easy to cooperate when somebody wants to do something good, and usually it's much harder when it's a bad thing. So let's keep our eyes and ears open. Let's not be blinded to anything. This is a bare knuckle fight. I mean, Governor Spanberger, Abigail, uh, when she did her State of the Union rebuttal or Trump speech rebuttal, she got it right. And I think Virginia's awfully lucky to have her. Tim Kaine is certainly no slouch. I think his family service goes back several generations. Uh, and you see, to me, that's the real test of a citizen: is are they willing to take a bullet for their country? And when you grow up in the states, as I'm sure it's pretty much anywhere, but it's easy to grow up with a sense of national pride, depending on national pride depending on where you are in the U.S. I think that people in the Southeast are slightly more rabid than anybody else. How about that for putting it nicely? Uh, so let's keep going here. And how about oh this is really good. This is on the front page of the New York Times. Hospice fraud as a flashpoint for California. And I want to kind of address that. And the reason those things happen is a kind of a side effect of the Constitution, because there's nothing in the Constitution about hiring a bureaucracy. You have to kind of, the necessity just evolves. And when you eliminate people, when you try to cut the cancer out, you know it's coming back. But in the meantime, there's a lot of suffering going on. I mean, I've never been through chemo or anything, but I just cannot imagine giving permission for somebody to radiate your body with the hopes that they will get it all. I've never understood how, if something exists on a microscopic level, I've never really known how anybody gets it all. Of course, they start using words like a margin or whatever it is. Like, guys, you suck. I know the deal. If you're not going to help me, get out of the way. I hope people are kind of taking that to heart these days. I kind of doubt it just on general principle, but and, I keep wanting to go back to hyper local politics. And if you're in Santa Ana or Costa Mesa, Irvine, Huntington Beach, Sunset Beach, Seal Beach, Los Alamitos, home of the Catella Deli, which I've been craving a lot lately, the Catella Deli. And, Urban, well, I just want to hear what's going on with you. Who are your candidates? Oh, who are your Democratic candidates? Tell me why you like, one over the other. And then, then the fun starts. Then we get to actually like work for them. And let me tell you, volunteering is usually a good thing. And to volunteer to help Democrats during an election is beyond priceless. This is, I mean, you can buy people by the hour, but it's really hard to buy enthusiasm. And that's what's crucial about volunteers and even college employees is that you get their enthusiasm. Of course, it's unpolished diamond in the rough, but that's exactly the type of diamond that we want to give a show to for a couple hours a day, every day, and let you develop as a talk show host, develop your interview style, maybe even develop a few, financial friends. So you can't living at home and being a hermit just does not work anymore. Even though we obviously do tons of communications electronically, and there's no real reason to usually to live in any one place. Uh, but again, when I say live in one place, there are lots of people here that have, God knows how many houses, and so they just kind of rotate through. But I want to talk to like the Beak family that runs the Balboa Island Ferry. They've been doing this for ages. They're part of the fabric of the community. Uh, Alan Beak is a member of the Costa Mesa Democratic Club, if I'm not mistaken. I had seen him at a meeting, but it's been a while back, and I can only hope he's doing well. Anyway, we're giving shout outs to people we hope are doing well. I'd like to give a shout out to Alan Rapinski. And Alan was the founder of Armor All way back when. And Alan went on to be Entrepreneur of the Year. This might have been like 1974, so a long time, 50 years ago. Entrepreneur of the Year. But anyway, Alan was always really generous with his time and money to me or for me. And, when I rarely had a thought, Alan never gave up on me. So we hope that our buddy Alan is doing well. And his wife, Pat, had died a few years ago. And I can only imagine how much that takes the wind out of your sails. So I just want to try to send some positive vibes to Alan Rapinski and whatever dogs he may have. Alan, you're a really good guy, and we just want nothing but the best for you. And we only want nothing but the best for our callers. So give us a call at 949-629-3820 and let us know what's going on in your world. I saw a bag of potato chips like $6, $7 for a bag of potato chips. I don't think that's. I think there's a little inflation going on there. I don't. I can see what 2, 3, $4, maybe five if it's really nice, big bag. But man, you get like I don't want to say you get bupkis, but my friend Bobby Howe would always say, hey, and you know what's left for Bobby? And Bobby would go, what? Skadukas. Bobby gets Skadukas again. And Skadukas is a completely made up word that the Howe family has a tendency to be creative with their use of words. So yeah, Skadukas for Boovis. And we hope. Let's give another shout out to the Howes in Charleston, South Carolina, especially Jimmy Howe, my old schoolmate and old friends from Charleston. I love you guys like brothers, and we'll get together soon and chat in person over an adult beverage because it helps my throat. And it's nice to be able to come back and say, I had to have that cocktail. It's just doctor's orders. I didn't have a choice. And not only do I believe that at times I don't have a choice, uh, you know, I am my own biggest fan, so I don't mind, telling a tale out of school. But nothing can be a whole lot funnier than yours truly, host Abby Kaufman, going to what he thinks is a meeting of the Laguna Beach Democratic Club. And of course, he goes on the day they usually have the meeting, at the time they usually have the meeting. But when Abby Roy goes upstairs, he notices that it looks a little different. And there were quite a few women milling around that, that didn't recognize before. And, of course, they're all, relatively young and relatively attractive to me. Uh, so I kind of, and the tables are grouped like for people to have dinner, like round tables, rows of chairs. So I wonder what's going on here tonight. But I'm new. Maybe that's just how they do things around here. So I register, and they say, I'm like, well, we've never seen you around here before. I'm like, well, I've been coming to the last few meetings. Uh, Meetings, obviously, of the Democratic Club. So I have my seat. There's like 5 women at the table and me. And of course, I'm loving this no end. Oh, I'm sorry. We're gonna leave that tail alone. I don't want to break the flow of positive energy during our chat. Guys, it is 1:41, and we'd like you to give us a call, 949-629-3820, and check us out. Let us know what's going on. We're happy to show you our latest projects, and you absolutely won't believe how good the eggplant parmesan can be. I'm kind of partial to the lasagna, which is a Sunday night, Monday night special. But I also don't want my car smell like lasagna for any length of time. So you have to use a little discretion here in what happens. And let's see, is that I keep getting this. I want to take a minute and check my emails. And apparently I keep getting these emails from a lunatic. There's a weird guy at where would I see the guy? Anyway, he's a conspiracy theorist kind of guy, and something about that ship that Israel sank during the 6 Day War, just because they didn't want the Americans in the I guess the theater of war. And some people are just, they just come to a point and they just stop and it just consumes them. Which might be why it's called consomme, but just sheer speculation on my part. Guys, it's like I said, approaching 1:45, and we'd love to hear from you. 949-629-3820. And like I said, the old throat, I can tell we're just starting to have a little scratchiness, and I sound bad enough with my regular voice, much less with a scratchy regular voice. But I'm so lucky that everybody enjoys my playing and all that. That all I ever hear is, and doesn't that make me a lucky guy? And I'll do this again. All I ever hear is what? So yeah, apparently these sound effect things are available. I guess you can upload others, and of course, gimmicks that have all the built-in tools and I don't know what they used to be knobs. I don't know what they are now. So, ladies and gentlemen, at least you're getting an authentic host here. I should mention my day starts around 4 in the morning. So by like noontime, so I've already done a day's work. And coming up as we are on like 3 and 4, that's 12 hours. And if I'm lucky, 12 to 3. If I'm lucky, I can take some pills and be asleep by 9:30. But at that point, it's still 7 hours to go until I can wake up at 4. Uh, I have no idea why I'm so congested, but I am. And I wonder, how can I do this? It would be better if I had some tape. I would tape a little "Be Right Back" call of nature kind of thing. But and I also want to give a shout out to Ada Briseno. She's running in District 67, and Ada was the head of the or chair of the Democratic Party in Orange County, and she came with her parents when she was a child. Uh, just got ID, worked through the system, and like she rose to being the Orange County Democratic chair, and now she's running for office in her district 67. I think that's like Cyprus or something. But Ada, Ada's a woman of integrity, and she's proven it. I keep talking to you about decisions based on evidence versus decisions not made on evidence, like gut decisions. And it appears to me as though you probably have a 50-50 probability as to whether a particular gut solution works. So, even if they have another side of the argument, it's not like they have an equal side. And, if there are any parents listening to me today, have you thought about encouraging your kids maybe to debate camp or debate team, whatever it is? They will be critically outthinking their competitors for years to come. So if you can all do it, help kids with a little extra math help, even if a couple of families have to get together, chip in a couple of bucks to like split a tutor. There needs to be an educated bureaucracy, and bureaucracies were kind of foreseen by the government or by the framers because they didn't spell out a designated government agency. They just wanted to let things evolve, thinking that we would never get a dishonest person running for presidency. Heaven forbid, not the U.S. But things have changed so drastically in the last year and a quarter. At this point, we are the hunted. We are the underdog. We have a leader who says who is not disappointed with being compared with Jesus or God Almighty or any of that stuff. But anyway, they didn't establish like a set agency with set operating steps and policies, right? So while an amazing job has been done, to keep things on the road, the fact of the matter is the Republicans are doing everything they can to make it uncomfortable and unpleasant for Democrats to vote. God only knows what's going to happen with those, mail carriers. I would hope that that on that one day, if they have ever had a complaint about a person, I really hope that they just kind of get fired. I'm a basic middle of the road guy, just probably like you. If somebody breaks the law, breaks the rules of society, then give them an appropriate punishment. Unless I'm hardly I'll lock the key, lock the jail and or lock the door and throw away the key person. Don't forget, it costs what, $50,000 or $75,000 a year to house each inmate. I can't help but feel that
out of any given, yeah, I'll pick on San Quentin, and that's funny. The reason I'd pick on San Quentin is because Johnny Cash played there. But anyway, San Quentin is near Larkspur, California, just north of San Francisco. And matter of fact, you can ride the ferry from Larkspur to the city. And on Friday nights, they even had these like jazz cruises where people play music on the ferry, and it's one of those San Francisco kind of things. So anyway, and by the way, if you hear of anyone that please tell them that we'd like to find an affiliate in their area. And in the meantime, please give us a call 949-629-3820 and let us know what's going on in your life. Are you in Irvine, Huntington Beach, Costa Mesa, Santa Ana, Irvine, North County, San Diego, South Orange County? I mean, let us know where you are and let us know what you want from the Democratic Party. And if you're not, I mean, if you have any notion that voting other than Democrat, please don't do it. If you do it, please don't call here about it. I mean, it's bad enough we have heard about about bad decisions. I don't need to keep seeing them come from this administration over and over and over again. And does anyone know what happened to the old stock market today? Huh. Down 180. And those when you're at like 50,000 ish, 100 or 200 points is not much of a move at all. So we can be subjected to more and more volatility. And if the Japanese and Chinese ever start buying our bonds, it's game, set, and match. Our outstanding obligations will require or may require a higher rate or reset of some sort. And whenever a bank says like rate reset or whatever it is, it hardly works to the benefit of the consumer. And if by chance you do get something for free from those guys, uh, you can rest assured it's probably left over too. Um, and another thing, my grandmother used to always do that. And another thing, are there any good vegetarian or seafood places that are reasonable where you are? Like, Huntington Beach, Westminster. I'm talking Santa Ana. I'm kind of talking to you guys. Um, let's see. So do let us know what's going on in your world. How much do you pay for gas? Uh, can you imagine Big Sur? I think Big Sur has that one station near the campground, and I think their pump will only go to like $9.99. So if gas ever hits $10 a gallon, they are SOL, which for the uninitiated means like poofy doo out of luck. But I digress for a second. Tell you what, hang on just a second. Let's see if this works. I'm gonna put my headphones down. All right, there, guys. Anybody still with me here? And we're gonna do a little experiment, just to kind of change things up here. Let's see. I had originally bought a cable to plug into, but I bought the wrong cable. So let's see if we get any noise like that. Oh, the mic's got to be like right there. So
How about a little squeeze of black coffee in bed? Well, we know that the mic has to be real, or the guitar has to be really close to the mic to be heard. So, no, this was a noble experiment. I thought I might, play us in and out on occasion, but let's see. We'll have to. This would clearly work better with the right cable plugged into the interface. And that's a relatively poor attempt at what was that? Oh, Black Coffee in Bed. Another Squeeze song, like a Squeeze 2.0 with Paul Carrick instead of Jules Holland. And, let's just say I appreciate Jules slightly more. So I guess we can kind of go ahead and put this down. Anyway, hey, political types that also play guitar. I'm sure you saw my Telecaster just then. It's a guitar. It is a 75th anniversary model from the oldest band in recorded history called the Light Crust Doughboys. And they're called the Light Crust Doughboys because way back when, mills would sponsor radio shows. And the local mill sponsored the Light Crust Doughboys. And it's about rumor has it that they actually cross paths that as they're going up to the office, Robert Johnson's walking down. And whether that's true or not, it's still an incredibly cool story. And I said, I would never have imagined such a thing. But let's, I said, I'm not going to stay a whole lot longer. I still want to emphasize the hyper-local aspect we're going for here with the Democracy Radio Network. And, we are a platform, a forum that is aggressively pro-democratic. We are, we're not rabid, left-wing, vote all out radicals, but I think, again, most of us are fairly alike. I think people just believe that if you break the law, you get punished, and now the exception to that is, of course, the Republicans, where if they break the law, it's okay, and if somebody else does the same thing, you throw the book at them. It really is one, and it's a trite thing. It's overused and all that. Well, that's couldn't be trite without being overused, could it? It's just exhausting, and we need to end this. But before we end this thing, I said, give us a call, 949-629-3820, and we would love to hear what's going on in your world. How about this? Anybody been to like Home Depot lately? I don't know what the competitors they have anymore, but how are prices at the old Home Depot? I doubt they're down a lot, huh? And allegedly or supposedly, California has 3 weeks of gasoline supplies left. Now, I'm always, I always want to know who gave that estimate and why. I'll check. I'll do a little independent investigation later
And in independent investigation, kind of what that due diligence reports are. I only ask because some people just seem to write a paper completely unrelated to the topic of the paper, and that again, we just you can't condone that. Yeah, if somebody tells you, if you tell somebody to prove something and they can't or won't, just remember they both skating, and you are the recipient of the both skate. They both skate on you. So let's keep that threat coming. We may have to. I think that could well be the call of nature, but we'll wait a minute or two just to find out for sure. I'm so bummed about that cable. I really wanted to be able to plug in and and be and throw a little change up to the old talk show. I mean, I might enjoy chatting, and you might enjoy hearing me chat, but it'd be pretty hard to do a lot than to offend nobody than some inoffensive guitar playing. I'm at the point that even though I've played for a long time, I tell people I rocketh not anymore. And I don't think it's a matter so much of rocking not. I think it's just a more matter of rocking on special occasions. At least that's what I tell the women folk. I really do want to make sure we hit the highlights. Oh, and this is how about this? In Tehran, Trump is blinded by the to Iran, Trump blinked first by demanding the ceasefire and by extending the ceasefire. And if Donald Trump's not the submissive in this relationship, then something needs to be reset. The world's it's not completely upside down, but it's somewhat inverted. And ladies and gentlemen, we want to chat with every Democrat in California and let us help you get the word out. Get some of your followers to listen to the interview and let's Democracy Radio Network is a force for good. It's a force against discrimination, and that's really a big deal. We don't want anybody. We don't believe in keeping anybody down or out from any given activity for any given reason. It's almost a libertarian, no laws kind of approach, and I think I kind of disagree with that. But the guys at Sprouts have it wired. I usually get a veggie sandwich, and I may or may not get avocado on it, depending on who's working there. But I always give a shout out to Anna in the deli and to the managers at Sprouts on 17th Street in Costa Mesa. And the reason I want to give them a shout out is periodically they will overcharge me for a sandwich, and inevitably I will complain about it, and and the remedies are usually, oh, so just take it. We kind of hate doing that. I'm more than happy to pay for that which I get. How about that for a concept? I'm more than happy to pay for the stuff I get. So whether that's the good news or not, it's an entirely different question. And we can't wait to go to Marback and get another cable. That just bumps me out royally. But like it's hardly a catastrophe. It's a nice Thursday afternoon at 2:05 in Newport Beach, coming to you live and in color from our secret location on Newport Harbor. And we getting boaters listening in. How much is what's the gas like at the fuel dock these days? Or how about anybody been to John Wayne? And that would be the local airport, by the way. Orange County Airport was originally just a small local airport, and there was a statue of John Wayne out front. And whenever you would, pick somebody up or wait for somebody, you would go to you say, "Oh, I'll just meet you at John Wayne," and sure enough, you'd be whoever it is under with the statue. Uh, but of course, those days have come and gone, and now you have these borderline or semi-private jet charters where like 10 or 20 people go, a few different places, and everybody kind of splits the cost. And I don't really know, but I think the operating cost of a small business jet has to be like $1,000 an hour. In some ways that sounds kind of cheap, but anyway, just more food for thought. And I see nature's calling, and I'm going to try to delay answering the call. If I walk away, I'd like to go ahead and shut it down for the day, like it's a little after 2. And I always and somebody's starting the air conditioner on in here, and I had to I say reframe the issue until that I can only stay on until my voice started to go. And if you notice on the homepage, just a little disclaimer that the broadcast is from 12 until when my voice gives out. And you know what? We may just have to go ahead and take that old break right now. And hang on just a second. And how did we? Didn't we do? Hey, didn't we do a comment the other day about? There we go. Comments. And how about if we do the basic? Be right back. Nature. Nature calls. And we're sure that anybody that takes a look at that will realize what nature is calling me to do. And whenever nature calls me to do that, let's put this up there. And now somebody may be actually to see it. Okay, hang on, guys. We'll be right back.
sorry about that, guys. Sometimes when nature calls, it's a short conversation, and sometimes when nature calls, it's a long conversation. So I hope that one. I hope we weren't away too terribly long for you. As we kind of think about winding things down here, uh, the point of electing Democrats is just paramount. It's a good, sound decision to not vote for people that ruin things, for people that are hypocrites, for people that just don't give a damn about anything except their own enrichment. I would argue that tends to be more true on the Republican side. I would also argue that at this point, uh, the we have largely been victimized uh, by Trump lying. And the insane thing was that he got people to believe him in the first place. I mean, on January 6th, enough. Wasn't the 34 fraud convictions enough? Wasn't the Stormy Daniels trial enough? Wasn't the E. Jean Carroll trial enough? Some people are just incapable of learning. And when you're blinded by your own brilliance, what you don't realize is that you're baffling people with your bull skate. Oh, that's I love that term, bull skate. And I think Margaret gave it to me. And yeah, she didn't like it when somebody went bull skating. So just, thought I'd share that. But, honesty and ethics and morality in politics, I shouldn't say, need to make a comeback. I like to think they never really left, but they were clearly in the minority position. And in our legislative system, without power, without authority coming to you by being duly elected by citizens, you just can't take this for granted. And I understand the 14th Amendment birthright citizenship case. If you want to pose some sort of minimum stay, I don't have a whole lot of problem with that. I do have a problem with excluding people outright. I do have a little problem when somebody was born into a less than prosperous situation. I wouldn't, and in that case, you're just, shooting down on helpless people, and which is a recurring theme with Trump. He only pisses down. He doesn't piss on. He doesn't let people whiz on himself. And the only things that trickle down are usually those things which trickle down, not to be confused with rain of any special color or shade. I've always wondered about that golden shower stuff, but God only knows why people do what they do, why people like what they like. But again, choices are the central theme of democracy. You can make a choice. You can make a decision. Who do you believe is better qualified to follow? Who are you more likely to follow? All these questions that seemed self-evident a few years ago, all of a sudden don't seem so self-evident. I know one of the huge negative implications that hits me is I'll read a headline or something, or I'll look at Bing's homepage, see what kind of stuff they say. And some of the stuff's just ludicrous. You just can't. So anyway, you've got to have the authority to do things. And we get our authority from the Constitution, or we get our rights from the Constitution, rather. And how we exercise that particular authority is, might be up for grabs, but, smart people will know what to do. And I just saw a thing about Doug Jones running against, I don't know if he's running against Katie Britt or Tommy Tuberville for the U.S. Senate from Alabama. Uh, but the mere fact that they have Katie Britt and Tommy Tuberville shows you what an uphill climb this is going to be. I mean, I have no idea how bright of a football coach he was, but I'm betting that he didn't hit the big time. So anyway, and while we're kind of giving shout outs towards the end, there's Jim at Cottonwood Music who looks after my guitars really well. His tech, Richard, who's an excellent guy. Who else? We don't get out a whole lot of the guys at Lalamita with the best shrimp tacos and beer I've had in a while. It's funny how being right on the coast in California, seafood's just a little different here. And, shrimp is, like a big deal as opposed to being on the East Coast, like Charleston, where you just want to go down the dock and give them a couple bucks for whatever the pound of shrimp costs. I mean, the heads are off, so that's one less thing to do. And there's nothing like a good old fresh fried shrimpy. But I digress. It's 2:20 Pacific time, and you're listening to the DemocracyRadioNetwork.com, and this is your somewhat savvy political host, Abby Kaufman. And if that name rings a bell with you, give us a call. Let us know where you've heard the name Abby Kaufman before, or are you confusing it with the 60s radical hippie Abby Hoffman? Is that a possibility? Well, guys, regardless of what you think, give us a call, 949-629-3820. And while you're at it, don't just smash that PayPal donate button. Ab needs a new set of tires and some car work. So let's get those cards and letters coming, folks. But I don't really like ending on a pitch for money. I don't know why. Just I always prefer to leave somebody on a serious but not financial kind of note. I got to tell you, people, I don't know, like coffee, like what's good and what's bad. And I always joke with the baristas about, put one raw sugar in there and enough steamed goat milk so that it doesn't taste too much like coffee, because when it tastes like coffee, it always kind of throws me off. And usually they do a pretty good job. If not, I'll manage to dump a gallon of goat oat milk in it. Oh, that's another funny deal. And whenever there's a new barista at Starbucks, I have this procedure. And when I order, I'll order a grande blonde roast with one raw sugar and lots of extra steamed goat milk. And the new barista inevitably says, "Well, sir, we don't have goat milk." I'm like, "Well, that's okay. I'll have oat milk. It's got to be pretty close, isn't it? Goat milk, oat milk. When I'll just have one. I'll have the other." And I can never tell if they take me seriously or not. I mean, I hope I'm not. That's not the kind of lunatic joke that offends people. But it is always funny to me. I used to ask the server who would ask if you wanted fries with your whatever. And I'm like, well, it depends. Oh, yes, sir. Did they come all the way from France this morning? Did you fly them in? Do you have like the flight log? Because then they would be, and I always hesitate and go, then they would be like French fries. And you would absolutely be surprised how few people think that's funny. I kind of thought it was hysterical. And, when you are your own biggest fan, you have to just own stuff like that. Unlike the tendency in DC, I mean, the guy makes the decision, and a decision yields negative consequences.
And the guy says, "Oops, I didn't make that decision." What the hell you didn't? It's kind of out there now, pal. Which is another ludicrous thing. They Republicans act as if the ability to record sound in motion is non-existent. I mean, anybody with a 10-year-old iPhone can shoot enough of a video of an ongoing event for evidentiary purposes. And just out of curiosity, is anybody eating at the Indie Cafe lately on 19th Street, Costa Mesa? I do like those guys, and I try to give them a shout out every now and then. They have like a sampler tray of lunch thing. I think it's called Talis or Talid. That is really good. And I'm such a geek. I can never get beyond the lentil soup or lentil soup with like veggie per course or something. Sometimes I get a little congested. There's nothing like a little hot, spicy soup going down to kind of ease things. And believe me, at our age, we do appreciate when people ease things. And we need to we'll actually start lining up more local candidates. Supervisor Katrina Foley of Costa Mesa. We'd love to chat with her or her campaign manager. She's been in politics for ages, and you don't survive in politics if you don't do a consistently good job. And she does a consistently good job. And on those same lines, how about Ada Briseno in District 67? I mean, let's put some of these tough ones. Let's just eliminate any hope the Republicans have of electing anybody for the next, I kind of like to say 50 years, but I'll settle for 20 or so right now. Let's go 20 without a Republican. And it's going to take us that long to recover the brain trust that we lost. And I'm going to tell you, I still can't, as much as I can't get beyond the bombing of the girls' school in Russia, I'm just devastated, heartsick about the administration moving to reduce people's food stamp benefit. If they're on food stamps, they're obviously not rolling in the dough. And collectively, what's the difference when a few pennies a day go to feed the homeless? You're probably going to throw that stuff out anyway. And not everybody. Not everybody that is homeless lives the homeless style. So, I appreciate when some people. Well, let me rephrase this. I always like it when people take some initiative to change the status quo. Otherwise you kind of get the status quo, and nobody's. I mean, you could rock along with the status quo, but as a general proposition, the name of the game is to improve and progress daily as a person, as a government, as a country. And it's really hard to go forward when somebody's looking backward all the time. And, it's funny, what I used to tell people is if we're sailboat racing and I am, going downwind ahead of you, I'm going to be kind of looking good no matter what. And that's, if you got enough money, you'll clearly be looking good no matter what. But as always, it hits closest at the cuts always hit closer to what's considered a lower class. I don't know what the politically correct term is, but if you have 44% in the middle class and you have 10%, how about 12%? Well, no, you almost have to have 50% at the bottom, 44% in the middle, and then 6% at the top. I guess that's what happens when the top few hold or have access to the essentially unlimited funds. Obviously, there's people out here, gasoline. The fuel dock could charge $100 a gallon. and some people just hand the card over because they're that wealthy. And I tell a story about chatting with an old school Republican fellow named Dick Brown, who was he was kind of a rabid Republican, but Dick always took time to help me in every way he could. And the truth of the matter is, those sorts of Republicans are gone. Their kids may try to carry on, and I only wish them nothing but the best. But this is, this is our time. It's our time to leave an imprint on history, and to begin to lay down the parameters for the next chapter of American progress. Ultimately, we'll come back. I'm just afraid the consequences are going to be so severe that they're going to take a long time, and decades is probably being optimistic. When you get rid of a workforce with 40 years worth of knowledge, you just don't replace them overnight. And you might get another body there, but you won't get another good job done. So anyway, it's like closing in on 2:30ish, and I think we may just kind of call it a day. My throat's getting a little sore, and the thought I'd like to leave you with is, please give us a call and let us know who you plan to vote for in the local Costa Mesa, Huntington Beach, Laguna, Irvine areas, because we're all kind of tied together in Southern California, and the situation is just not good. I mean, Iran is sinking ships in the Strait of Hormuz, and we're doing like nothing. So those guys understand asymmetrical warfare, and it's just gonna be rocky from here. But before I sign off, one last thing to tell you is, go get a little Rocky Road ice cream and enjoy whatever Rocky Road you can. This is Abby Kaufman, your somewhat semi-savvy political host, coming to you live in the color from his secret location on Newport Harbor in Newport Beach, California. And we'd like to wish everybody a good rest of Thursday. And we'll see you Friday at noontime again, until my voice goes out. And I'm such a geek. I keep forgetting to do like the stupid things on the way out. But I'm going to go ahead and bow out and thank everybody for tuning in. This is Abby Kaufman, DemocracyRadioNetwork.com, The Abby Kaufman Show. And Roger Wilco over and out. We'll see you in the morning, noontime Pacific. Thanks, and take care.